So I was thinking about discussing this disagreement that one of my brothers and I have. We've discussed it at length in the past and just kind of settled on a agree to disagree. It's not really an important issue, so it doesn't matter. But another one of my brothers that's in agreement with me was talking to him about it today, and so it got me thinking that it might be worthwhile to record for the podcast. And the idea is, do wicked rulers and authorities in this world actively sell out sell their souls to the devil? Do they actively, willfully, knowledgeably worship Satan and have made an actual decision to go that path? Or are they ignorant pawns used by Satan? And so I believe that I don't really, I suppose the best way to discuss this is to just give the whole picture here. My idea is based on two sections of scriptures. The first being Psalm chapter 2. And Psalm chapter 2 says, starting in verse 2, "The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us." And then the second scripture is where Jesus is in the desert and the devil's tempting him. And the devil shows him all the kingdoms of the earth and says, "All these belong to me, and I give them to whom I will." And basically tells Jesus they can all be yours if you'll fall down and worship me. So based on those two sets of scriptures, I believe, let me backtrack here. For almost 20 years, I've done like deep dive studies of secret societies and government conspiracies and New World Order type stuff. I've got a collection of probably like over 200 documentaries. Plus I've read several books on it. And I believe, based on that when you look at the world, a lot of the politicians, especially in America, I suppose I just assume in the rest of the world, but a lot of the research I've done is focused on America. A lot of our rulers, a lot of our politicians, as well as a lot of the CEOs and owners of major corporations, and I'm talking the big corporations, like the oil industries, the steel industry, the banking industry. All these people are involved in occult organizations. They're involved in secret societies. In the occult, they're high-level Freemasons, and Freemasonry is a satanic organization. The lower levels are completely unaware. They're told that they just worship a deity, the great architect of the universe. When you get, I think, as far as what I understand, to like the middle levels, they're told that this great architect of the universe has an actual name. It's Jabulan, which is a hybrid of Yahweh, Baal or Baal, and An. So the real God Yahweh, the Canaanite god Baal, and the Egyptian god Osiris, or An, as he was sometimes known, I think. Which, by the way, the company OnStar, it's the in the occult, the star Sirius has a lot of meaning. The dog star, it's used, the Eastern Star, it's used in Freemason temples and whatnot. But anyways, but when they get to the higher levels, I think it's 32nd degree and beyond. When you read in, it's either Albert Pike's book, Morals and Dogma, or Manly P. Hall, Both of these are high-level Freemason experts. They're held in very high regard in Freemasonry circles. They're like the Freemasons, the greatest philosophers in all of Freemasonry. And one of them, I can't remember which, they both credit Lucifer as being their god, but one of them says that when you reach the 32nd and beyond degree, it's then that it's revealed that God is really Lucifer, which is just another name for Satan. So Freemasonry is a satanic organization. Its rituals are satanic. They take blood oaths of death, and mutilation. The symbology is satanic. The 5-star, the upside down pentagram, all the symbols that they use have occult meaning, and it's a satanic organization. And so when it's revealed that anybody 32nd degree and beyond is aware that it is a satanic organization, that it is Luciferian, they've agreed to be a part of that. And a lot of our presidents were 32nd degree or 33rd degree Masons. A lot of judges, a lot of senators. So you have that. Then also they're involved in Skull and Bones, like both presidents, both Bushes, President Taft, and others, Supreme Court justices, and so on and so forth, are members of Yale's secret society called Skull and Bones, where the initiates in Skull and Bones are baptized, figuratively, in a coffin, and they bow down to a person dressed up as Satan, and drink blood out of a skull, or wine out of a skull, I'm not sure. And then you also have things like Bohemian Club out in Northern California, which includes numerous presidents: Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, both Bushes. Well, I don't know about Bill Clinton, but both Bushes, Ronald Reagan, Nixon, Ford, I believe, a lot of other prime ministers, big corporation CEOs and businessmen. They all are part of this Bohemian Club. And in this club, they have a ceremony called the cremation of care, which is what Psalm 2 is talking about. But during this cremation of care, think about that. Where does care come from? It's your conscience. Cremation of care is just a synonym for searing of the conscience, as the Bible calls it. And so they do this. They have a 40-foot stone owl out in the middle of the woods, named Moloch. And we read about Moloch in the Old Testament. It was a demon god. And they worship this thing, and they go through this ceremony where they sacrifice a human effigy to this stone owl. And like I say, it's called the cremation of care. So let me again read what Psalm 2 says in verse 3. Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. And if you go and you listen to the ceremony, that's exactly what they're doing. The conscience is the bands, the cords that God and his anointed one, Jesus Christ, in verse 2, the bands and the cords that God holds over these people is the conscience. And so they want to cremate their care, cremate their conscience, sear their conscience so that they can do whatever they want to do, whether it's sexual depravity or go and commit very wicked acts in order to control the world, murder, genocide, so on and so forth. And so they do the worst thing they can think of. They cremate a live person. I mean, they don't do it at the ceremony. They use an effigy. But the idea, the ceremony, is to represent casting off the bands, casting off the cords of God, searing the conscience so that they can do whatever wickedness they need to do. So now these same men, they go into secret society government clubs like the Council on Foreign Relations or the Trilateral Club or the Bilderberg Group. And these organizations are aimed at a one world government, a new world order, which we know from Revelation 13 is the goal of Satan. And so the fact that they're involved in these cults and or occult, and that they're high level in it. It's not just a fraternity. They're aware of what they're doing. Makes me think that they've sold out their souls to the devil, to Lucifer, who they believe, through trickery, through deception, they believe that Lucifer is the good guy, that he's just wanting to free everybody to do whatever they want, and God is the oppressive dictator who won't let people do what they want to do, with all of his rules and regulations. So they've bought into that lie and sold their souls to Satan. And then in the desert, when the devil tempted Jesus and offered him all the kingdoms, he said that these kingdoms are mine, I give them to whom I wish. And I believe that same thing holds true today. Why wouldn't it? If it held true back then, why wouldn't it hold true today? And I believe that Satan gives his kingdoms to people who have signed deals with him, so to speak. Not actual pen and paper, but they've taken their oaths in these secret societies. They've accepted his doctrine. They've accepted his plan for the world, the New World Order. And so he gives his kingdoms to them. He puts them in positions of power. And I don't think that just refers to government kingdoms. I think that our society today is more of a fascist society, in the sense of a corporate-run government. I believe that's one definition for fascism, is a blending of corporation and government. And I believe that the major corporations of the world are the real government today. Apple, Google, IBM, DuPont, the World Bank, all these different organizations, the steel companies, the oil companies, the pharmaceutical companies. They're the ones that control the politicians. They're the ones that lobby the politicians, line the politicians' pockets, and actually control the governments of the world. So in a sense, I believe we already have a one world government, and that these corporations don't have boundaries. Nike is a worldwide corporation. The World Bank, I think, has control over every nation except for like maybe 3. And so all these different organizations, all these different companies, all these different politicians are involved in the occult. They're all working together to steer things towards this New World Order. And so I believe that it is an actual active decision that these people make. They willfully choose to believe the lie, and to go down this path. They've sold their souls, so to speak. They've chosen a side. They've agreed to be Satan's puppet in order to get power and riches and to get a piece of the kingdoms. Now, my brother, on the other hand, believes that they do it in ignorance. That when it says in Ephesians that it's the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, the prince of the power of the air, that Satan guides and directs lost men into the paths that he desires without them being aware of it. In the same way, because that same spirit also worked in us once. When we were lost, we didn't actively know that we were serving Satan. We didn't sell our souls to Satan, but we were doing his will, because the spirit of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, was at work in us. The spirit of Satan was guiding us and directing us as we followed our lusts and passions. And so my brother believes that that's how it is with even men in power, with famous celebrities and politicians and corporations, CEOs and owners, that they're just, like everybody else. They're just lost men being influenced by Satan unaware. And so, like I say, I disagree with him based on the scriptures that I quoted, and then based on the fact that all of these men, or not, I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of these men in power are part of occult organizations. And out of their own mouths, they've written and talked about the New World Order, about directing things into the New World Order. And they've gone to these ceremonies where they know that Lucifer is being praised. and that he is being called God, and that the God of the Bible is being discredited and mocked. And so Psalm 2, when it says the kings of the earth set themselves and rulers take counsel together, that indicates an awareness. That's not something you do without knowing what you're doing. They take counsel together, and they take counsel together specifically against the Lord and against his anointed, and they say, let us break their bands, God's. The Father and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, let us break their bands and cast away their cords. That is an active awareness of a plot against God. That's an agenda against God. It's not something you just blindly do. It's something that, and I believe that, yes, the spirit of disobedience works in all the lost. Everybody's doing the will of Satan. But you don't get to be in positions of power. You don't get to take a part of Satan. This world belongs to Satan. He is the God, little g, of this world. He is the prince of the power of the air. The nations belong to him, and he gives them to whom he chooses. And I don't believe that he gives them to anybody. He gives them, or I'm sure he doesn't give them to just anybody. He gives them to those who have agreed and willfully serve him. They willfully acknowledge Lucifer as their god, and they willfully acknowledge that the plan is to move this world into a new world order. I've tried to persuade my brother. I don't know what his resistance to this is, because I feel like Psalm 2 is crystal clear, and then when you add to that the fact that these men are involved in the occult, in the occult, that it's a satanic, they're involved in satanic organizations, whether that's Freemasonry, Bohemian Club, Skull and Bones, Demolay, Illuminati, Scientology, whatever it is. These are organizations that recognize Satan as their deity, and so when you tie those two things together, I don't see how you can get past it. These are the men. These are the kings and the rulers that have set themselves against God. These are the kings and rulers who take counsel together, conspire together to overthrow the conscience, to overthrow God's rule and reign over them. But again, I've tried my best to persuade him. He remains unpersuaded. And ultimately, I don't know if it's a really big deal or not. I think it helps to separate from it. It helps to create a heart that doesn't love the things of the world. When you realize that it all belongs to Satan, I think understanding my position, understanding where I'm coming from, helps to sever the ties with the love of the world, and it helps clarify who the enemy is and what his agenda is. But it's not a really big issue where I'm going to argue and fight with somebody over it. But just thought it'd be worthwhile to discuss here on the podcast. Well, on Sunday, which is Easter Sunday, I will turn 40 years old. And I have some thoughts on that. A lot of people get all depressed about hitting 40, and I can understand that. But because it is kind of depressing, it feels like when you're a kid, 40 sounds old, you know? And so you hit that age, and it's like, man, I guess I'm old now, you know? But I'm not really too upset about it. Like, I think I went through a midlife crisis when I was 35. Like, that's right around then I went through this weird stage of anxiety. Like, I just felt like I hadn't done anything. I needed to do something, and just kind of, I don't know. So 40 is not a big deal to me, but I've been thinking about some things from a spiritual standpoint. I guess mainly because it falls on Easter. the day we celebrate the resurrection of Christ. And so I'm not one big on signs and numerology and all that nonsense, but it is, it does pique my interest a little bit. It's a little bit of a curiosity that it happens to fall on Easter. It's got me wondering if there's any sort of spiritual significance to it, if there's if it's like a turning point, or if it's a milestone, or what the issue is. But just kind of looking at it with some trepidation, curiosity. I'm wondering, like, okay, what's going to happen now? Where does life go now? What am I going to do here? And there's a couple other things besides the fact that it falls on Easter. 40 is a significant biblical number. Again, I'm not big on the numerology or the Bible numbers and all that stuff. I know there's some theories and some weird stuff out there, but 40 was the number of years the Jews spent wandering in the desert. 40 was the number of days and nights that it rained during Noah's flood. 40 was the number of days that Jesus spent in the desert of temptation. And so there is this idea that 40 ties in with trials and temptations and tribulations. So that's got me a little, I guess trepidation is the word that keeps coming to mind. It's got me thinking, like, okay, was the 40 years up till now kind of a trial? Was it the I've been saved since 2001, so I've been saved for 21 years. I celebrate my new birth date on the same day as my real birth date, because I don't know the exact day I got saved, but it was in April of 2001. I'm pretty sure it was mid-April, so it's right around my birthday. And so I'll be 21 years old in the faith. At the same time, I'm turning 40. And so it's like, okay, has everything up till now just been a trial, a testing? It's a building, a laying of the foundation. Because honestly, the Christians I associate with, when I look at their lives and I compare mine, I haven't had a lot of spiritual growth. Like, I've grown in knowledge, in understanding. Like, the Lord made me very, very hungry for the Word of God. During my formative years of the faith, I spent a lot of time studying and just felt like I was given understanding of the Word, and so I grew in knowledge. But what I had in knowledge, I lacked in maturity, in spiritual maturity. When I look at the brothers and sisters that I associate with who are much, much younger in the faith than me, we're on equal footing when it comes to spiritual maturity. Like, I still struggle with a lot of sin on a daily basis. I'm not anywhere close to what, the spiritual giants of our faith, or I'm not anywhere close to being qualified to being an elder, or having a position of leadership. It's like I lack. I lack a lot of spiritual fruit. I lack love. I lack compassion. I lack temperance or self-control. And so, like, I just see, like, perhaps everything leading up to now has just been laying the foundation. And now is the time. And I don't know, it's silly to think that a birth date really signifies anything important, but the fact that it's on Easter and the fact that it's 40 just kind of has me pondering some things. I like this quote. I think I heard from A.W. Pink, who divided life into 4 stages. He saw that from the ages of birth till 20, he saw that as childhood. And from the ages of 20 to 40, he saw that as youth. And from the ages of 40 to 60, he saw as maturity. And then 60 and beyond as old age. So, and I like that guideline. And I guess it brings me comfort, because it's like, okay, maybe my lack of maturity, spiritual maturity, isn't such a bad thing. Maybe I'm not so odd. Maybe I'm not so abnormal. Perhaps, I don't know. It just comforts me to think that 40 is really the age when maturity happens. I like A.W. Pink's quote there, and so I'm looking ahead, thinking, what is this? Is there any significance to it falling on Easter? Is there any significance to it being 40? Is it a pillar moment? Is it an event? Is it something to be recognized? Is it a starting point? Is it a refresh point? Is it a point where the Lord's really gonna move upon me and create spiritual maturity, which is my hope? Because, like I say, when I look at my life and see how much I lack, it's very discouraging. I was just telling a brother that I often think about that parable of the tree that wasn't producing any fruit. And the vineyard owner comes and says, cut that tree down. It hasn't produced any fruit in several years. And the gardener pleads with him and says, no, hold on, please give me one more year. Let me dig around it. Let me put some fertilizer around it. Give me one more year and let's see if it produces anything. And I look at that in fear, because I often think, like, what if, all these years of producing no fruit, what if my time's coming to an end? Like, what if, the patience of the Lord, the long suffering of the Lord is running out, and it's like, all right, produce now. And maybe time's already up. Maybe the 40 years, the time of trial is coming to an end, and I've been found wanting. I've been a barren tree. Because when you think about, like, fruit, what is the fruit? We're supposed to produce fruit. A good tree produces good fruit. And when I look at my life and I say, what kind of fruit is coming out of my life? And I don't know how we would define fruit. I heard, I think some people define it as disciples. Like, how many people have you led to the Lord? How, that's the fruit. You're multiplying. I don't think that's the case. If that is the case, I can't point to too many people that I've led to the faith, if any. I can think of maybe one or two that I shared the gospel with that later came to faith. So I don't know if I have any fruit there. If you think about, like, you think about the parable of the talents, how the guy with one comes and says, Lord, I was afraid, so I hid the coin. Here's what's yours. And the Lord says, well, why didn't you at least, put it into the bank and garner some interest on it? And I often think about that as the other ones, when, the people who were given 10 and 5 coins, they went out and created more money from it. And I think of that as like evangelism. They went and saved souls. They increased the kingdom. They took what they had and they increased it. The guy with the one, when he's told you should have put it into the bank and, at least, and garnered some interest, I think about the bank being the church. You should have at least shared with the church and garnered some interest, grown, edified, built up the church. You should have at least shared with the other members and caused them to grow. That, I don't know if I have an accurate interpretation of that parable or not, but that's how I often think about it. And so if that's fruit, I look at it and go, what impact have I had on other believers? And I think, I look at my closest circle and I think, has anything really good come because of me, or have I been more of a hindrance? Whereas my years in the faith, I should be more mature. I should be, leading in holiness and godliness. I often, maybe even cause people to stumble. I don't know if I'd say I cause people to stumble, but maybe, I don't know. But, I just, have I really made any impact on other believers where I can say I've at least garnered interest? I don't know. I've passed on a lot of my head knowledge, but has it taken root in hearts? Has it caused anybody to really pursue holiness? Has it created any edification in others? or is it all just head knowledge? So I struggle with that doubt. So if that's fruit, I worry about, I don't have much there. So I don't have much in the form of evangelism. I don't have much in the form of discipleship. If that's how we're defining the fruit of the good tree. But the other thing is, the fruit of the Spirit, the love, the joy, the peace, and so on and so forth. I look at that and I go, man, I sure am lacking in that. You would think after 21 years, I would be a much more loving person. I would be a much more joyful person. But instead, I'm a complainer and a grumbler, and I've noticed a lack of love and a lack of compassion in my heart. And especially over the last few years, I've seen my love growing cold. I've become just angry and a grumbler, a groaner. There's apathy and there's bitterness, and so it's like these are bad fruits coming from me. These are not good fruits. A good tree produces good fruit. A bad tree produces bad fruit. And if I'm a bad tree, how much longer does the Lord tarry? How much longer does he give? And that's a terrifying thought. Like, if I'm not producing any fruit, or the fruit that I have is rotten and spoiled, or small and immature, it's grievous, And so I look at this 40th birthday on Easter with kind of fear. Like, I know, again, it's silly to pick this particular date and say, this is it. This is the line in the sand. This is where the Lord says, all right, it's enough with this tree. Cut it down and cast it into the fire. But the significance of 40 and the significance of it being on Easter Sunday just has me pondering, It's my personal life, which is what this podcast is about. My day-to-day life is such a wreck, man. It's just, I feel like I'm a disaster. My day-to-day sin life is why do I continue to sin so much? Why do I struggle with various different sins? And I don't know. I feel like when everybody else just seems to be running the race faster. Everybody else seems to be pursuing holiness better, making better progress in holiness. And like I say, it's just very discouraging, it's what good is all the head knowledge without love? And I was talking to my brothers this past weekend about, like, I struggle to understand what love is, the emotion of love. Like, I struggle when I was lost. I once went to a juvenile delinquent facility, and they told my mom that I was a sociopath, or a borderline sociopath. And my understanding of sociopath is that there's no emotion. There's a disconnect from other humans. And like, I feel that like when I test my heart and I try to say, like, what does love feel like? What does it feel like? And I can't wrap my mind around it. I can't, what does joy feel like? Because my emotions are so dull that I feel flare-ups. Every now and then I'll have a flare-up of emotion that's quick and bright, but then it's over. Like, my normal day-to-day emotional status is just a blah. It's complacent. It's level. I'm not one prone to emotional, like, I'm not just... most people seem to be operating on a different level with emotions, experiencing things, having ups and downs all throughout the day, whereas me, I'm just kind of level, just plateau. And then, like, the emotions that I recognize are like anger or depression or whatever, especially like anger, because it'll flare up, and it's like if if you're measuring emotions on a Fahrenheit scale, on a degree scale, like my emotions are room temperature all the time. I'm just even keeled. But anger, when it flares up, is like 120 degrees, and so it's recognizable. I recognize it, and it's like, and like I said, my emotions are quick. I get angry fairly easily, and my anger is hot, but it's quick. It's done. Like I don't stay angry. If I get angry, um, like I used to tell my ex, if I get angry, just let me leave the room. If I get like just 3 minutes to calm down, I'm done. I'm no longer angry. I put it away real quick, and I'm back to that normal room temperature. But I recognize it. Whereas love, it's so hard to recognize because it's the way I feel love. It's like just a little flare up. Like if I'm at room temperature, 70 degrees, say, my love is like a 72 degree. It's very rare to recognize a peak. It's same with joy. Like I don't feel the emotions, and my brothers are trying to encourage me. They know me. They know I'm a generous, loving guy, I guess. I will do just about anything for the people in my life, and so my actions will speak love, but what I'm feeling in my heart, I feel like other people just experience it way differently than me. And that's grievous too, because the fruit of the Spirit is love and joy and peace. And it's like, I want to feel these things. And I've been praying recently, Lord, just show me your love, because we love because he first loved us. And I've been thinking about 1 Corinthians, what is it? Is it chapter 13 that talks about the love? Or is it 14? Love is kind, love is patient. These are all actionable things. And like I say, I see that in my life. I know I love people, I know I do, but I don't feel it deeply. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm doing a poor job explaining that. People are going to hear this and think, oh, well, he's just a cold-hearted jerk. And that's not the case. I'm not a cold-hearted person. I love, virtually everybody in my life, and I will do anything for them, and I will sacrifice everything I have for them. I will give everything to them, but I want to feel love the way I feel anger. When anger is present, like I say, it boils up. It's so hot. It's so easily recognizable. I want that with love. I want to have that explosion of love in my heart for others that I can feel, that I can sense, that it's not just an actionable thing, that I can actually experience it. And so when I think about the fruit of the Spirit and see how lacking it is in my life, that's grievous as well. And I don't know if any of this makes any sense, but I'm looking at this 40th birthday. I'm looking at the fact that it's on Easter Sunday, looking at the fact that it is 40, and just thinking, what if this is I don't know what the word is, a pillar. What if this is a measuring stick? What if this is a moment? What if this is the times of trials and testing are over, and now I'm expected to produce fruit, and I want to do that. I desperately do. I don't know if I see it in my own life, whether it's evangelism or discipleship or the fruit of the Spirit. If I'm a good tree, I'm supposed to be producing good fruit, and I look and I go, where is it? And after 21 years, if it's there, why isn't it mature? Why am I at the same level that some of my brothers and sisters in the faith who have only been saved for 5-6 years, why are they at the same maturity level as me? Why ain't I further along this path? Where is my fruit? And so I don't know, just thinking about all these things heading into this 40th birthday, just kind of has me. It's not depression. It's not. There's just a little bit of worry, and I don't know if that's because I'm a glass half empty kind of guy, a pessimist. I always expect bad. I'm always thinking things are going to fall apart. I'm always thinking, all right, good things only last for a moment. They're just good things are just the rest period between bad things. And so I'm always expecting something dramatic, something devastating to occur. Yeah, and I don't know if I suppose that is a very poor outlook, but that's just where I'm at. And turning 40 on Easter Sunday, what is the significance of that? Or is it nothing? Is it arrogant and conceited of me to think that it's some sort of special event, some sort of special moment? The fact that my 40th birthday coincides with Easter Sunday. I don't know. Anyways, just thought I'd get that off my chest. All right, so that's what I got for you guys this week. As always, I truly appreciate you listening. I love you, and Lord willing, we'll talk to you next time.